some point in your life, you might have heard the saying, less is more. While that might be true for other stuff, I'm going to have to agree to disagree when it comes to badass superheroes. So I'm back with Volume 3 of the top 25 most badass superhero scenes in the movies. Okay, before we move on with more badass superheroes, here's a word from our equally badass sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. For those who want to pull off some epic moves of your own, all you got to do is pick up your phone and download Raid Shadow Legends. With over 700 unique champions, endless customizations, and engaging quests, it's kinda a no-brainer if you ask me. You're going to be joining an elite team of around 400 million players in over 190 different countries. Raid's already got 15 awesome factions, including lizardmen, orcs, and elves for you to choose from, and on top of that, the PvP combats and regular content updates ensure you've always got something to look forward to. Also, for those of you who are always up for a challenge, they've just added a new boss called Akumori the Phantom Shogun. When I'm not making videos or watching movies, I'm usually on Raid making new friends or playing against them. Of course, the TV region's always got you covered, so use my link in the description or scan my QR code to get some insane bonuses like Epic Champion Knight Errant. Well, what are you waiting for?
Do it! Just do it! Nice jacket.
Can you ever take a badass list seriously if it doesn't have Nicolas Cage in it? There have been tons of heroes played by amazing actors throughout the course of cinematic history, but none of them come close to the sheer madness this man brings with him to any of his roles. Did you know that Mr. Cage used to dress up as an Egyptian god just to get a feel of what Ghost Rider would have been like? Yeah, that's the kind of dedication even jobless Twitter stans can't muster up.
Sorry. Does it hurt? It looks like it does.
Anyway, the prison scene in this movie doesn't exactly start off on a sinister note, but the laughing quickly turns to whimping as the blazing skeleton whips out his, whip and sends everyone to damnation in a matter of seconds. Man, I really wish I could turn into a burning skull upon call. I'd have made a killing during all my Halloween parties.
This is the least. No one's gonna pay to ride.
The Wolverine is a name that's hard to keep off my list, isn't it? And that's for good reason too. The man has proven time and time again that he's the most badass mutant in the X-Men franchise, no matter what timeline you're looking at. So having said that, the reason why 2017's Logan worked so well was because of the vulnerability we saw in Wolverine, not just mentally, but also physically. Of course, that doesn't mean he can't dominate his opponents when required, and he does just that in the opening sequence of the film. The whole scene felt so refreshing because it wasn't an outright victory for Logan. Bro put in more work than Mike O'Hearn does for his TikToks. But hey, at the end of the day, Wolverine still emerges victorious. And that's what counts, right? It just goes to show us that the man might be rusty, but he can still pack a good punch, or in this case, should I say, a good slash.
And you know the drill. I'm gonna count 3, and you're gonna start walking away. 1.
I have a lawyer now.
2.
3. You know the drill.
Give him a goddamn hat.
Get the hell out of here.
Cult following. I mostly cover Shang-Chi whenever it's got something to do with that epic final battle with the dragons. I know there's also the strange dynamic he has with his dad, but I ain't joining the shrink life, so I'm just going to talk about how he defeated the Death Dealer after such a badass battle. First of all, let me just say that if my opponent looks like this, the first thing I'm going to do is run away. Seriously, bro, how'd you even function in something as spooky as that costume? Anyway, Shang-Chi clearly doesn't know the ways of the TVCU, so he ended up fighting the Death Dealer and even winning the battle after a hard-fought encounter. Man, I really wish his dad didn't interrupt his finisher move. I was so hyped to see how Shang-Chi was going to pass judgment. Well, I guess we can't always have everything we want, eh? needs cloning powers when you can just kidnap a bunch of people and dress them up accordingly? That's exactly what our main man V does here in what I consider to be the movie's finest finesse. Nothing confuses a person more than a case of mistaken identity, and V fully exploits that in this scene. The main attraction is obviously when he takes down all the officers in a matter of seconds, but it's his plan as a whole that makes the sequence so appealing. Like, the guy's always 10 steps ahead of the opposition, and he makes his execution just look so simple. We already know how skilled he is as a fighter, but I haven't really praised how much of a mastermind V is. Those poor cops were probably more bamboozled than Spider-Man when he was taking on Mysterio in Far From Home.
No one will ever forget that night and what it meant for this country. But I will never forget the man and what he meant to me.
Too weak to send me home to die.
No. I just want to kill you myself.
Revenge is a dish best served cold, or in punches if you happen to be Tom Holland's Spider-Man. We all love No Way Home for a lot of positive reasons, but if you think about it, there was some super dark stuff going on too. For starters, the way Green Goblin dominated Peter Parker in their first battle was brutal and a bit terrifying as well. Luckily, our boy managed to get back at Osborn in round 2, and I gotta say, bro didn't hold back any of his punches. Spidey wasn't fighting to win, he was fighting to kill, which is pretty badass if you ask me. And out of all of the people in the world to stop him from doing so, it just happened to be Bully Maguire. Well, I mean, he's Toby, but you know what I'm getting at.
Spider-Man doesn't kill people.
Aunt May, he killed Uncle Ben.
Uncle Ben meant the world to us, but he wouldn't want us living 1 second with revenge in our hearts.
Man, I really don't know what to say about the Eternals, you know. On the one hand, I don't want to completely dismiss the movie because it does a few things right, but on the other hand, I can't ignore the many other things it did wrong. Well, I believe in good vibes only, so I'll just focus on Crow's assassination by the super badass Thena. This was the same dude who was giving the whole team such a hard time throughout the movie, and all it took was a couple of slashes from the eternally youthful Angelina Jolie to put an end to his shenanigans. I still take issue with the fact that Crow was reduced from a main villain to a side character, but Thena's victory was still good enough to land her at number 17.
You ever had that dream where you're falling as if you've been pushed off a tall building? That was probably me.
If you ever want to meet your worst enemy, all you gotta do is look into the mirror. Yep, that's right, it's you. Philosophy aside, this kind of conflict also makes for cool fight scenes, just like the one we saw in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I don't really have a lot of nice things to say about this movie, you know, and even this scene would have landed much higher up on today's list if it was longer. Seeing Steven taking on Sinister Strange was an interesting take on how people fight their inner demons every day, and the fight itself was definitely appealing in a lot of ways. Honestly speaking, I was kind of rooting for Sinister Strange to win. Mr. Sherlock was being such a wuss throughout this film. Like, come on bro, aren't you supposed to be Sorcerer Supreme material? 2021's The Suicide Squad was a major upgrade from the troubled 2016 production, so it only makes sense for this scene to be higher than the previous one. There's always something hilarious to be found in a James Gunn movie, even if it involves the brutal massacre of an entire enemy camp. In this case, it's the fact that the victims here aren't exactly the enemies. Yeah, the whole squad just went to town on a bunch of people, only to later realise that all they did here was flex at the mercy of human lives. Not that I'm complaining though, some of those kills were super badass, especially the ones from the funny little showdown between Peacemaker and Bloodsport. Also, I know it sounds weird to say this, but all that gore really helped enhance the scene's impact.
Non-lethal. You lose.
Exploding compression bullets.
Making a mistake.
Thanks for the advice.
Vin Diesel has gained some serious superpowers over the course of his involvement with the Fast and Furious franchise. Bro's tougher than freaking Colossus if you look at all the damage he's taken throughout these movies. So it doesn't really come as a surprise to see him with regenerative abilities in Bloodshot. That kind of skill is super effective in combat, so we're bound to get a fight scene showcasing Ray's new powers. I've got to give props to Mr. Family for putting on a menacing look as he goes through an entire group of military-grade fighters with zero remorse. I particularly want to shout out to the part where his face regenerates after being dealt a direct hit. I mean, if that isn't badass, then I don't know what is. If we look at the MCU's strongest Avengers, I'm sure we'll always find Thor or Hulk on the list. The fans got a little taste of what a showdown would look like between both of them in 2012's The Avengers, but it was Thor Ragnarok that gave us the payoff we needed and deserved. Yeah, sure, it's got a bit of a comical element to it, but make no mistake, this is a brutal fight scene between two highly overpowered opponents. We also got to gauge Thor's true strength, because I'm sure a lot of us are of the opinion that the Hulk was physically tougher than the God of Thunder. Well, Mark Ruffalo might not be as much of a threat as Chris Hemsworth, but their superhero counterparts sure gave us a scene to remember and cherish. The film industry will forever be thankful to The Matrix for revolutionizing the way we blend sci-fi into action thrillers. For such a movie to release in 1999 was a massive achievement, and full credit goes to the Wachowskis for playing off a feat that not many have been able to replicate since then. Of course, we should also be thankful to the film for giving us Keanu Reeves as Neo. He proved that innocent-looking guys can be just as badass as any other toughie out there. Take the shootout scene, for example. It's such a great scene, not just from an entertainment perspective, but also from a technical standpoint. The way Neo and Trinity pull off their moves is nothing short of spectacular, and I love the flow of the action choreography. Keanu, you really can't do anything wrong. Just please don't make another sequel, bro.
Only human.
Dodge this.
Listen, I don't want to hear you complaining in the comments, okay? I know Jean Grey is the bad guy here, but she's still a superhero who's losing control of herself, so it makes sense to have her on this list. I mean, how can I ignore the moment Professor X gets ripped to shreds in front of Magneto and Wolverine? He's the benchmark when it comes to telekinetic powers, and even then, the Phoenix casually disposed of him like he was some kind of side character. Sure, he comes back to life later on, but make no mistake, he definitely lost that battle. If we weren't convinced about Jean's powers already, this was the moment that cemented her as the most dangerous mutant of them all.
Enough. Enough!
You're gonna give me the keys to your car and some money for gas, or are you gonna wake up in the hospital? Trust me, I know how these things play out.
Oh, because you're from the future.
No. Because of these.
It don't matter if it's in the 2020s or in the 1970s, Hugh Jackman will forever be a badass because he's the freaking Wolverine. Alright, I might have said that a little bit for dramatic effect, but there's no lie in it, is there? Logan is pretty much the main man making his fellow X-Men look cool.
You'll have to be patient with me.
Patience is my strongest suit.
Because, let's be honest here, none of the other mutants can pull off what he's done already. Just take the time travel scene in Days of Future Past as an example. Bro got sent back a few decades and landed up in bed with a straight 10. If that wasn't enough, he even makes light work of a dad's goons when he gets caught. Bro really can't lose, can he? My highlight of the scene has got to be when he recovers from all of the bullets shot at him. I mean, that's peak alpha male vibes right there.
I didn't sleep with her.
No.
No. I mean, yes, I slept with her many times, but...
Timmy!
That wasn't me. That was the old me.
Where are you?
Here.
What the hell are you? I'm Batman.
Well, it was nice to see Michael Keaton don the Batsuit once again in 2023, but I really wish he didn't waste what could have been an iconic moment in a not-so-iconic film. Well, after watching The Flash, I wanted to revisit the more memorable Batman in modern times. That's right, I'm talking about the one and only Christian Bale. What the Dark Knight trilogy did for the superhero genre is beyond what words can explain, and Christopher Nolan deserves all the praise in the world for making it happen. We all love it when Bruce Wayne says, "I'm Batman." But my favourite rendition has got to be the one in Batman Begins when we see him take down those goons at the dock. That line became so memorable, it still gets parodied today, and I mean in the best possible way.
I can't pay that kind of debt on a Daily Planet salary. I mean, you could, because you're...
Because I'm Batman.
I was gonna say rich.
I am also rich. I'm Rich Batman.
Oh my gosh.
Let's roll.
The Transformers franchise has basically become Michael Bay's version of the Fast and the Furious, but you know what? I ain't complaining. It's giant robots fighting one another with all kinds of weapons and gizmos. What's there to hate? I'm sure you might be a fan of Optimus Prime because, duh, who isn't? He's always been my favourite Transformer right from when I watched the animated series, so I was a bit disappointed when he wasn't shown to be that powerful in the first live-action film. Luckily, he came back stronger than ever in the sequel, taking down both Megatron and the Fallen in just a matter of minutes. I guess that's what happens when you get upgraded with vintage robot parts, but everything about this scene was just so freaking good. The visuals, the domination, and most importantly, the victory. All of them came together to give us all a flawless sequence.
I am Optimus Prime, and I send this message so that our pasts will always be remembered. For in those memories, we live on.
Steve Rogers might be better known for his moral high ground, but that doesn't mean the man can't fight. He's usually overshadowed by his more powerful peers like Iron Man and Hulk, so it was great to see him flex his fighting charisma in the Winter Soldier. That encounter was an absolute treat to watch because neither Steve nor Bucky were trying to be nice to each other. It speaks volumes about how good this movie truly is, because it was released around the time big budget CGI battles had become the norm in blockbuster flicks. What I particularly found pleasing was the fact that Steve didn't rely on his shield till the very end, where he used it to gain the upper hand over, well, Bucky's hand. Here's a little tip. If you want to win a war, just get Wonder Woman on your side and you've already won it. The Battle of Veld Village was just another example of how overpowered Princess Diana really is. Whether it's Gal Gadot's acting, the action choreography, or even the classical cinematography on display, this particular scene really had me rooting for violence all the way through. Just look at her beat up those clueless soldiers without a single care in the world. She could probably take down another 100 of them and still not break a sweat. See, how on earth do you not fall in love with such a goddess? She's even got such a great smile.
Would you say you're a typical example of your sex?
I am above average.
Superman has had countless achievements to his name, and I'm sure the civilians of DC are very thankful to him for that. However, one particular conquest of his is something that I personally brag about at family dinners. Yep, it's the way he got Batman looking like a chicken about to be deep fried at your nearest KFC outlet. The car chase scene in Batman vs Superman was a neat little moment, but the true highlight arrived when Superman gave the Dark Knight a death stare deadlier than an angry girlfriend. If you can get Bruce Wayne to piss in his pants like that, then you've definitely done something noteworthy. Also, that pose is way too badass for me not to include in my top 5.
Next time they shine your light in the sky, don't go to it. The bat is dead. Bury it. Consider this mercy.
You know, I'm a little surprised that I don't mention this entry as often as something like Thor's Wakanda scene. Iron Man's Hulkbuster vs Hulk showdown was legit one of the key selling points for Age of Ultron, and if you look at how viral its clips have gone on YouTube, you'll know exactly how fans love to watch it. I mean, it's basically Hulk against his robot counterpart, and the scene delivers exactly how you would have wanted it to.
Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep.
Both fighters give each other a tough encounter, and the visuals pretty much cover all of their main strengths. But yeah, since Tony Stark ends up as the eventual winner, he surely deserves an award for being able to silence the Hulk. I mean, think about it. Nobody was even able to lay a little scratch on the angry green giant until this scene came along. Yeah, I know Thor got a few hits in during the Avengers, but he didn't exactly win that match, did he?
Going down!
I'm sorry. We fight.
They're not stopping.
Neither are we.
Imagine this, right? You're waiting for your next flight out to another city and you notice the Avengers fighting each other right outside the airport. Alright, I know that's not exactly what happens in this scene, but it's still cool to think about, isn't it? This was the crossover that tested the waters for Infinity War, and the resulting sequence had everyone in the cinema halls going crazy. Now that I think about it, the Russo brothers must have had to work their guts off to be able to execute this scene. I mean, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Captain America, Wonder, Vision, Ant-Man, Falcon, Black Panther, Black Widow, the names just keep coming one after the other and they all manage to show off their moves. This isn't a badass sequence for one particular character, it's meant to celebrate all these superheroes as one big family that's fighting each other.
That shield doesn't belong to you. You don't deserve it. My father made that shield.
Also, don't forget to click the link in my description or scan my QR code for exclusive bonuses on Raid Shadow Legends. See you next time. Hope you liked the video, so please subscribe to the channel and check the description for links to my socials. In the meantime, here's another video that I know you're going to enjoy.